Hi, I'm Heather Telford. Recently I posted a card on my blog featuring gel prints of herbs from my garden. A few people asked about the process and wished I'd had a video. So I've done some more gel printing of leaves using exactly the same process that I used on the herb card. I'm using these little gel plates from Gel Press. They're called Petites and this is set A. I'm using a mix of Liquitex paints and Deco Art Americana acrylic paints. And I'm still getting the hang of how much paint to put on my gel plate. I've been watching some videos. Gel Press has a lot of videos and Jelly Arts. And I've realized that I usually put too much paint on. So what I'm trying to do is start with less and even roll some off on scrap paper if it looks like I've got too much on the plate. I'm using Coleus sleeves because the print on the back with the veins is really quite dramatic, and so it gives me a really good print. I'm using white cardstock, but a very light cardstock, more like a 65-pound weight or an 80, not the 110 that I use for card bases. So you can see with this first method, I lay the leaf down, take a print, pull the leaf off, and then take the rest of the print that the leaf left. When I do it this way, I do get an outline, just a little white outline around the leaf that just makes it a little more prominent. The more I keep reusing my leaves, the more you use them, the flatter they are because they get pressed down each time, which is quite good because of course I've got a little bit of natural shape to them when you start. The other thing you might not be able to see because the footage is sped up a little bit is that I'm just rolling the brayer one way. I'm going down, 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 down rather than down, up, because if I go down, up, then I'm just rolling the paint in exactly the same position. So this time I'm making the print with the leaves and removing them before I put the paper on top. You will see too that I tape the top of my paper. That works as a hinge so that when I lift the paper and do another print, it comes down in exactly the same position on these little gel plates. So that's the print that I made by just printing the leaf and removing it before taking the print on the paper. So you can see there's no white outline on that one. It's a little more subtle. I've left them stuck down with that hinge tape because I'm going to do a print over the top and I want it to land over the top. And I've chosen just yellow and white this time because I want it to be fairly see-through. I still want to see that blue and yellow print from underneath as well as the white prints that are going to end up on top. So I'm taking a print around the leaves. That's the first technique I showed you. So I'm just picking up the yellow and white paint around the leaves and then I'm going to remove the leaves and take the next print. So the result is a pale transparent print over the top of that bolder print underneath. So this is a two-layered print, a little abstract, kind of leaves through leaves, and I quite like the effect there. I have a drawer full of white scraps of cardstock, different weights, different textures, and I'm trying to use those up on my gel prints. Usually when I'm gel printing, I find that the longer I go, the better my prints get. I don't know whether it's partly seasoning the gel press or just me getting into the groove of it. So I'm doing the same technique now that I did the first time, taking a print with the leaf on the plate. So I'll get a silhouette shape there. And this time I'm using slightly textured paper. It's got a canvas texture on it, but very, very subtle. So you probably won't see it in the filming, but it does mean that in that print there's a slight canvasy texture in the color. So I ended up with 6 different prints. So that's the first technique I showed you, where you take a print with the leaf in place on the plate, and then you remove the leaf and take another print. And then the next 2 are the 2-layer, where you take a print without leaving the leaf in place, and then I followed it up with a print with the leaf in place. Then I decided to make a couple of cards with just 2. There's the 2-layer print and then just the silhouette. And I had this leftover cardstock from another session where some of the colors were the same. So what I decided to do, because I wasn't going to use the whole panel, I didn't like my leaf prints as much, but it made a really nice background for the prints I just did, because some of the colors are the same and there were little leaves peeping out from the side. So I put tape on the back of my panel, and I'm just using that corner on the Wendy Vecchi Make Art Station to hold my card base in place and then tuck my card front right in. So you can see I hold on to some of my prints from previous sessions because I might use them as a background. I might find a purpose for them, even though they may not have been exactly what I wanted at the time. So I got the rest of my square prints, and I actually cut them out with square dies, so they're all a bit smaller, to make what is currently being called a slimline card. I think this is just a card that fits in a business envelope, but it's got this new trendy name and is quite popular at the moment, a slimline card. So I cut these square prints so that I could fit 3 in a row. And lining these up, the art station is really handy because it's magnetic, and I've got my ruler, which is a centering ruler, holding the card base down in line parallel to the grid on the mat, and then I can use my centering ruler. I've got 0 in the center of the card, and I can line up my little squares using the markings on the ruler. And that flexible ruler came with the board, and then this rigid ruler I got later, and it's good for lining the top of the side panels up so that I get them in the right place as well. And I just put a little sentiment from Darkroom Door, Go Off the Beaten Path. I thought that matched well with the leaves. So I hope that technique is clear. 2 ways to do it. One, when you leave the leaf in place and take a second print, and the other when you just print the leaf and remove it and take your print. Thanks for joining me. I'll be back with more soon.